Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Africa is the richest continent on earth in terms of gold, diamond, oil, uranium, and rare minerals. Yet it remains the poorest. The question is why? According to former African Union Ambassador Dr. Arikana Chirombori-Kwao, the answer is very simple. She calls it, and she says it is modern-day colonialism. Watch this video. We'll be back to talk about it.
Africa has been the provider. If you look at Europe, Europe cannot survive without Africa. One situation that people don't realize, post-World War, when the US came up with the Marshall Plan, what they don't tell you is that the contribution through exploitation of African minerals was actually the biggest funder of the European Recovery Plan, ERP, aka the Marshall Plan. US contributed $13 billion, which is now present day $175 billion, which, by the way, the American taxpayer must be paid back. Nobody's asking for that money back. But what they don't tell you is that Africa, through exploitation of its resources by the Europeans, was actually a much, much bigger contribution to the European recovery post-World War II. Nobody talks about that. Why does such a continent that did so much to help Europe recover continue to be so poor? Let's be realistic here. Let's not talk about peanuts. Africa does not need the aid. What we need is for those who are exploiting Africa to stop. Africa has everything it needs. If Africa could have contributed as much as it did to the recovery of Europe post-World War II, why wasn't Africa equally developed?
Dr. Arikana did not hold back. She said Africa is not poor, it is only being robbed. And of course, the numbers have proven it. For instance, a United Nations report found that Africa loses more money to illicit financial flows than it receives in aids. For example, if the Democratic Republic of Congo has $24 trillion in mineral wealth, that's their worth, but it remains one of the poorest nations due to foreign corporations controlling their minds. How about France colonial tax imposition on the CFA? Are you aware that 14 African countries still pay 50% of their foreign reserves to France just to use CFA, a currency that was created in 1945? Let me even shock you. Do you know that when Guinea rejected the CFA in 1958, France destroyed their infrastructure in retaliation? Yeah, they did. In Thomas Sankara's speech, he who feeds you will definitely control you. But the big question is, will colonialism ever end? Will colonialism ever end? That's the question. Or will it just keep evolving? Because Arikana exposed how Western powers still dictate Africa's future. She said through debt trap policy, Africa countries owe $735 billion in debt, mostly to Western banks and China. Nigeria is owing China a lot of money. Are you aware that Zambia spends more health repayments than healthcare to its own people? How about land grabbing? Foreign corporations control about 63% of Africa's farmland. In Senegal, European countries export food while the citizens starve. Now let's talk about brain drain. Are you aware that 42% of Africa's doctors have left the continent to Western countries, according to a WHO report? Also, there are more African scientists in the US than in Africa, where they originate and are needed the most. I mean, they just come in, they take our resources, and they charge us 10 times more than the finished product. That's not fair. So what's the solution? Dr. Arikana says Pan-African unity is non-negotiable. And this is how we can fight back. We need to start supporting African businesses, all right? I'm wondering why you're not buying African products. Are you patronizing African products? You have to invest in black banks. Promote the African free trade, right? Let us also demand reparations and land back. Listen, Haiti was forced to pay France $21 billion for freedom. That's reparations in reverse. Okay? FBAs must link the struggle from Congo to Chicago. Anyways, what are your thoughts? What would you say about this issue? What would you comment? Let me know in the comment section. Leave them. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more stories. I'll see you in the next video. My name is Victor Odion.